Alright guys, coming back at you. The most recent episode of Bruce Banners Armbar. I know it's been a minute, and you know what sucks? When you get busy, and when it's been a minute, I'm not gonna lie, I've missed the greatest fights. I don't know, it just starts off the year this way. I think Mcgregor only fights once a year. He did the same thing last year. Dana's got a big deal on this guy. He's like, yo, you start off my years, blow out some pay-per-view records out the water, and then we'll just fill in from there and we'll still make it happen. But, wow. Dana White was giving this guy a hell of a challenge. That's who you got to beat if you're going to go for the belt again. You know, if he wanted that shot against Khabib, he was going to have to go through Poirier because no one really deserves it more than him. Number one contender, I guess, you know, at the time. Go beat that number one contender. If you think you can do it, you go put down that number one contender and you're guaranteed a shot. Unless Khabib doesn't feel like it, then boom, we're just giving you the belt. But, I mean, that was last week, 2 weekends ago. That's why I bring that up. It's the biggest thing I feel like I missed. I know there was those fights last weekend as well. But on the McGregor thing, I thought I had to sneeze. On the McGregor thing, Poirier's just an animal, without a doubt. He's an animal, and he's an animal that's beat Justin Gaethje, that's beat Anthony Pettis in a recent fight, Eddie Alvarez in his last 4 or 5 fights. He just wins. The only fight he's lost is Khabib. Dude's in the craziest division as far as popularity, as far as a division I can name the top 5 right away. Khabib, Poirier, Gaethje, Oliveira. Was McGregor before. McGregor's at like 9 now. I said Poirier at 1, right? Fuck. Oliveira. Give me a sec, alright? I talked this shit, that's why I forgot about it. Michael Chandler, wow, let's just check the updated list right now. Michael Chandler knocking out the dude out of the same camp as Adesanya. Dan Hooker, that was, alright, so I'm not as surprised about the first fight, I guess that's what I'm saying. Poirier was the real deal. He'd beat some animals. McGregor beat him in their first fight, thought he could do it again, and it didn't happen. Poirier showed him that he was up there for a reason, and that dude has improved. I mean, that's what their coaches and stuff say. I forget his coach. He's got that big-named coach, Matt Brown, out of American Top Team, where Joanna fights, Masvidal fights. It's just huge names. They got like 5 champions in there. Either they have or at the moment type stuff. You know, it's crazy. 5 have been champions probably in there. But anytime it's Poirier and Masvidal going after each other all day, you know, it's a good show, or a good camp, or a good fighting gym. But they, between Matt Brown and Poirier's will, dude, they just created a crazy fighter. I love that. I like the way that dude always throws that block all the time. Just the way he does it, so different than everyone else as far as, like, he fully extends the arm up. How Poirier block, I could probably Google, and they'd probably have something on it. Someone would be like, dude, this guy, Poirier, that's how you gotta remember how to spell that every time. Every time you spell it. Poirier. It's French, I would guess. Yeah, alright, so there's just pictures of it come up right away. And he just always has it back here. His hand over to his ear. But no, he's just elite. Between, I guess that's just one of his tools the guy has. Between having the great boxing, the great timing, the being able to take the Conor McGregor shots and be like, no, I'm still here. I'm gonna 1-2 you back the next combination. Like having trusted himself to be like, oh, we're throwing. I'm comfortable throwing because I know I'm a good enough boxer to throw, and he's got the tank to be able to throw from the top. So he'll trade with you all day long. He has confidence that he will get your timing. You might get a couple on him first, which is what McGregor did. I mean, hindsight 2020, this would have been a whole different show if I came at you before that fight, because I don't know how I thought it was going to go. I'm a Poirier fan, but just seeing what McGregor can do as far as his accuracy and the way he just can put people out with that right. Poirier, I mean, it took him 2 rounds to do it to Alvarez at that weight class. The only people he was dropping, killing dead, was fucking Max Holloway's weight, 145. That 10 pounds is a different dude. He's probably like a little in-between weight guy, so he's like, fuck it, I'd rather have some lbs on me and work up here instead of cutting that much weight. Because you saw him, dude. That dude, when he cut into nasty. By the way, I'm going to grab an off-camera beer. He cut nasty, and he looked like a skeleton in weigh-ins. But still, what a fucking fight that was. So Poirier outboxed him. really started. I mean, Poirier, I feel like, was figuring him out at the end of the first round. He was talking shit. Yo, the funniest thing about this fight too, McGregor was trying like that shoulder shit that put Cowboy Cerrone out in his last fight. Poirier's like, yo, this is a different game than that. He's like, let me eat that from you. Tastes good. Give me those fucking shoulders. He starts feeding them back to him. He's like, you ain't putting me out to that shoulder shit, dude. It's not gonna work here. And in the clinch, he was beating him in the clinch. I don't know. Great fight. Poirier's the real deal. And if Khabib's not coming back, that dude's champion in my book. Mark it, dude. Champion de la Poirier. If Dele was French, that would be, yo, title of this podcast, only that, but in French. Give me some Google Translate. But the next fight after that, regardless of the Frenchman, we have the fight after that, Michael Chandler, out of fucking Bellator, just been a champion. Won probably 3 or 4 in a row, lost a couple before that. He's beat big name UFC guys like Benson Henderson. They might be 1-1 against each other. I know he got a W. But he comes out of Bellator, 32 years old, and knocks the fuck out Dan Hooker, who took Poirier's fucking, beat him in the first 2 rounds, lost the last 3, but was still getting his deep waters fight. Like, you thought this guy was Poirier only 0.95 Poirier. He wasn't the full Poirier. Poirier had more heart. Maybe even a 0.9. Nah, he 0.8, 0.85. He got knocked the fuck out by Michael Chandler, this 32-year-old out of Bellator, just seeming like the real deal. Short, stocky guy known for his wrestling and knockout power. So he's right in the mix. That's why I was surprised when I saw in the rankings Michael Chandler comes from not ranked to number 4 in the land. Not ranked. Wasn't in the UFC up until 6 months ago. First fight, dude. They give this guy, I don't know what Hooker was. He was probably 6. What's he now? Yeah, he's 8. So he went down to a top 6 guy and starches him. And people are bitching about him being 4. We got McGregor at 6, who just came off a loss at that same card. You're not going to rank McGregor with what he's done lately higher than Michael Chandler. Tony Ferguson went on a tear, lost his last 1 or 2, maybe 2 decisively. So, like, where do we fit him real nice? Like, we fit him right under a Charles Oliveira, who's been on a big win streak, who some say him Poirier for the belt. Makes sense, but then you got a rising star in Michael Chandler. Who knows? Who knows? You got Justin Gaethje, who his only loss was the Poirier. Him and Poirier have been trading little spots right there. None of them could beat Khabib. We know that now. None of them could. None of them will. He proved his point. Like, you know you're the best ever when you took down 1-2. What are the point of rankings if we're not going to give Khabib the respect of being the best by far in that division? When Boom Boom took down 1-2, started the McGregor fall. The only fight that I could see Khabib winning is Charles Oliveira. Let's see what Charles Oliveira been up to, dude. Let's see how he's been doing. Khabib said he wasn't about it, but if he was going to be about it, he's Du Bronx is his nickname. My nickname comes from the gym. People see me and say, here's the kid from Du Bronx. In Portuguese, that means the ghetto. Yo, Charles Oliveira has a story too, dude, that I don't know about because he speaks Brazilian. What? Give me his record. He's older. That's why I've written him off. He's older. God damn it. He's beaten Ferguson. That was one of Ferguson's losses, and it was decisive. He beat the shit out of Ferguson in his last fight. So he's the reason why Ferguson isn't up there. That's his last win. Why can I not see the dude's record? Or is like, am I going to have to Wikipedia this guy? Nah, I knew there was Charles Oliveira hype, but you got to really break down that division to kind of go that deep. Because right now, I mean, the biggest fights, McGregor was at 4 until this happened, and Poirier was number 1. Like, that's a huge fight to overshadow this. My God. All right here, I got it for you. Nothing Wikipedia can't fix. He's on a 3-6-8 fight win streak. He's got a win against Tony Ferguson in his last one. Decision. They said it's unanimous right here. Kevin Lee subbed him real quick, right? Lee missed weight and he got a performance of the night. He did it in the first? Probably. He KO'd Jared Gordon before that, TKO'd Nick Lentz, submissioned David Tamur, submission Jim Miller, the only guy we know on this list so far, and he's old. He's at the end of getting close to the end of his career. Submitted Chris Giagos, and then submitted Clay Guida, and before that he was TKO'd by Paul Felder. He's got a loss to Ricardo Lamas, lost to Anthony Pettis, lost to Max Holloway. Frankie Edgar, Cub Swanson's beat him. Donald Cerrone's beat him in 2011. I mean, that's old school. He's just as old as these cats. I think he got his schedule got pretty chill up until Kevin Lee. And Kevin Lee's a hit or miss fighter. Either sometimes he's on, he'll head kick you into where you hear like a thud so loud to where you're like, yo, brain smack school, you know, crazy head kicks. And but then he's 29-8. He loses fights too. He's a cool guy though. And then he beat Ferguson, who's an old man too, and just went on the tear and then started losing. Nah, I don't think he's I think he's up there. He deserves to be 3. Just because the win streak, but man, you know who deserves right now is Khabib, all-time champ. Like, he knows that. I wasn't that impressed. You guys could tell. So Khabib's the champion by far. We know how that division's going. Poirier is the champion. And I'm like, yo, my laptop just went from low battery to I was shutting off. And why? Oh, all right. So then before that, I guess there was a couple fighters. Roundtree was supposed to fight. There was a sub in at the 4th fight of the main card. He bounced for some reason. I didn't know their names because they were like last second throw-ins, so I don't know. They probably weren't that bad. Actually, it was a great fight. They really hyped up the guy who won, but I just didn't know who he was. And then my girl Amanda Ribas out of Brazil, just mom and pop shop, like trains with her dad and her uncle. She got TKO'd, knocked out in the second, and I only knew of her because she submitted Paige Van Zandt in like 2 minutes in her last fight. But Paige Van Zandt isn't that good. That's why it makes a person be like, yo, this bare knuckle boxing thing, dude, she might get jacked up, son. Like, that might be a fight. I mean, the problem is those organizations are like, yo, we're gonna charge $70 for our pay-per-view. But you're like, dude, if I'm paying $70 for a pay-per-view, I'm paying $70 for an established pay-per-view where I know the top 5. Like, I'm not paying to watch one chick get beat up. You know what I'm saying? Just because it's bare knuckle. Like, I don't even watch bare knuckle as it is, and that sounds kind of gruesome. Like, you'd want to watch it on YouTube and catch bits and parts of it, but at some point you're like, yo, someone's probably getting fucked up. You skip if you want to, see how it finished, you know? But they're charging $70 for that? Yo, $70 for a UFC card, I understand, because I got 1 through 5, but that, no. So that was the card. I missed that. I was definitely going to pull for her to win. Michael Chandler, I thought he was going to win, so I knew that one. So I think I went 1 out of the big fights. And then, there was another fight, like Julia Penn, a couple older chicks who've been in the UFC for a long time. Oh, Calder-Wood, the kid, like 25, versus Jessica Ai, who've been in the UFC forever. And it was a unanimous decision. I had some moments, but yeah, Calder-Wood outstruck her 2 out of 3 rounds, and that's how you win fights. And then, I mean, I watched the prelims too. I would have had to been like 2 weeks ago, you asked me more about the prelims and stuff. I would have just watched the post-fight stuff. I would have known what was going on. I would have been hyped. But now I kind of forgot about most of it. Let's see. So what's going on? What's going on this weekend? Oh, they're hyping up the dude with the craziest record, the heavyweight, trains out of Team Elevation. Respect. They got up-and-coming Gym of the Year, something like that last year. Team Elevation on Instagram. Alistair Overeem versus Alexander Volkov. And I feel like that's got mad hype. Just because they hype up Alistair Overeem and being like this. I just see it on Instagram, I guess. You know what's funny? Whoever you follow, you're going to see the hype on just because you're like, yo, I'm hyped on them. Let's see what they got to bring. But they also got Volkov, who went on a tear there for a while, won like 5 fights straight. And then he lost like his last 2. He's the guy who... the beast, Derek Lewis, in the 3rd round was getting outstruck all fight long. And then like with 10, 15, 20 seconds left in the 3rd round, before he was going to just get beat unanimous decision, getting outstruck the whole fight, he fucking pops his dude, knocks him the fuck out. That's how you get a Derek Lewis fan right there. You saw that. But he ain't been that good lately. Against the ring, with the steroid ring, dude, maybe you get some steroids in him, he just comes back. He's like, I'm here to win for that title, bro. The Reem versus Lesnar. Those are two steroided dudes up, and the one who trains MMA every day won. Give me a chance to bet on that, you know what I'm saying? Like, where was my knowledge of betting in the UFC 10 years ago, whenever that happened? But he's still in 47-18, won no contest. He's got some brutal knockouts in his last 5, but he won his last 2, I think. Corey Sandhagen versus Frankie Edgar, the old man out of, is he out of New York or something like that? He might be, he doesn't train with, he trains in a different, Tom Rivers, New Jersey, dude. He's just got a little New Jersey school. I wonder who trains out of where Frankie Edgar camp, dude. That's what I want to see. Oh, that's where, the dude who Oliveira beat trains out of as well, I'm fairly certain. Frankie Edgar fight camp. Or maybe not. He might train up north of Massera. Let's see teammates. Frankie Edgar. Do you have teammates in the UFC? Just because you train together? Him and Moraes are in the same gym. Boop, 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 boop. Frankie Edgar in the best 8 comebacks. I just feel like he's an old man though. Let me see his age. He's 39 years old, dude. And he's still just fighting. That's just the paycheck, That's just the fucking 9 to 5. And he still gets a good pull, They get him. He's always on the main cards of fight nights. And they got him as the number 2, so he still pulls. But it's just crazy that he's still fighting, dude. I've been watching this guy fight since I wasn't watching fighting, bro. So that's intense. I think I went with him, and then I lost where I was on the rest of this card. And then Marion Reneau against Macy Chiasson or something like that. A chick with like a crazy haircut, side shaved, and then just that little wave to the front. Against Marion Reneau. She is the number 10 in the world, and she's 43 years old. Whoa. That'll be cool just to watch the old chick in fighting versus Macy Chiasson. How old is Macy Chiasson? I bet she's an up-and-comer. No, she's 29 years old. They're fighting at 135. Yeah, they're searching. That 135 division is not a huge division in the UFC. Aside from Amanda Nunes. Like 125, 115 is established as fuck. Without a doubt. But 135 just doesn't. That's who we got fighting. She's number... What is she? She's 12 versus 10. And I hadn't heard of either of them until I looked into it. And then Alexandre Patoja versus Manel Cape. Cody Stamann, dude, versus Andre Ewell. Stamann's like a wrestler or something. For a 3-loss record, I feel like, 31. You've been fighting for a while. What's he been losing? Wikipedia. Should I just donate to them sometime? Oh, yeah, he lost to a Jimmy Rivera, who is an elite, his last fight. But before that, he's been fucking people up. He's only been in the UFC since 2017. He's fought 8 fights in the UFC. But he was murdering people in this organization called Knockout Promotions. So I don't know how much credibility that has, but it has enough to be like, you can beat some UFC fighters, because he did beat a Brian Caraway, I see. Taryn Ware, a decision. Tom Duquay, decision. Brian Caraway, decision. Couldn't beat Aljamain Sterling. He's a stud, but that shows top 5. Perez beat him, don't know. Song Yadong, a majority draw. Song was deducted a point in round 1 due to an illegal knee. So Song kneed him in the face illegally and then beat his ass. And he got the point deduction that made it a fight. Whoa. My feet. I don't get shocked near as often as I did living in Denver where it was dry as hell, but, you get some moisture on me, I'm not getting a shock. No, yeah. When it's dry, you get shocked like a motherfucker. So he drawed that fight. Brian Keller, no one knows, and then he lost to Jimmy Rivera. Jimmy Rivera is an elite, so he's like a middle-of-the-road fighter. But in the bantamweight, that means he's probably 10, I would guess. So he's fighting. We'll watch that fight. I just knew his record looks impeccable, but I don't think he's as good as that record seems. Because he hasn't been in the UFC grind yet, dude. He was in the Knockout Promotions grind. From 2011 to he came to the UFC in 2018, so 7 years. Wow. No, he came in 17, so 6 years. Wow. We just went down that guy's career real quick. I cared enough to know his career, but you know, there's certain guys you're just fans of, and certain guys you're like, hey, good on you. So I just know of him, you know. I'm not living or dying by that sword. And then, oh, this is the only fight that I do know that I'm kind of about to do. Beneil Dariush. He's had some crazy finishes in his last couple. He did like a reverse, you throw your fist, only you switch around and nail him right in the face. Back fist, spinning back fist. And and then, another fight he had. These might be his last 2 fights. Might be why he's all up there right now. His fight before that, he was getting his ass beat, and he was like knocked out in the second. Then all of a sudden, this dude's like, "Oh, it is what it is," and he just starts throwing super hard, harder than the guy who had him knocked out, who was like using all his energy trying to finish him, and just knocked him the fuck out on Queer Street, which is crazy. 31. Just swings like crazy. He's an Iranian-born American professional mixed martial artist. Competes in a lightweight. That's dope, dude. Iranian-born American MMA fighter. Yo, see, we go down. That's a problem. You know, UFC's dope because it just makes you want to go down rabbit holes of dudes. Because you're like, yo, you don't have a whole team to look into. You just got one fighter, and you saw him murder a man with a spinning back fist recently. But I'm sure this would say. Yeah, he's been in jiu-jitsu his whole life. Pan American champ in 2011 as a brown belt. World no-gi, 2009 purple belt, 3rd place. His last competition in just competitive jiu-jitsu was 2010 World no-gi champ, brown belt. Oh shit, he was a World no-gi champ in 2010 as a brown belt. 2009 purple absolute, and 2008 blue. Whoa. That's pretty fucking cool, dude. People who are serious, would know more about that shit would be like, yo, the way the belt system works, and it's like, how far does the coach or the trainer feel like his fighter is along as far as where he can get. So we'd be like, yo, you won championship as in a blue belt. In blue belt, there's like 9 rankings or something like that. It's like 4 or 5. So he's like, yo, you're still middle of the road of what you can become. But he was like, all right, let's go then. But he's like, I'm still the best of what that can be. And he still moved up the rankings. That's when you're just, they know he's learning. They know where he's going to be. And they're just like, this is where you are now. I expect perfection out of you at blue belt, and I'm gonna expect it out of you at brown belt where he won one. He hasn't got one in black, but that's another level, a whole nother level. And if you're training UFC, you can't train because that's the people who only train that, you know. So brown belt, impressive at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to say the least, and he been knocking motherfuckers out. So, yep, Scott Holtzman KO spinning back fist. Drakkar close KO punch, sub to dude, rear naked choke before that, sub triangle to dude, decision, got KO'd by Alexander Hernandez, who was murdered by Cowboy Cerrone. Edson Barboza, flying knee, killed this man. He fucked up James Vick, lost to Michael Chiesa, beat Michael Johnson, Jim Miller. You've been seeing Jim Miller lose a lot, huh? The further we go down. So no, it's not a bad card. It's pretty well put together, you know. It's got enough hype to where if you do none, toss him on. Let's see what this heavyweight bout got. That's going to get anyone hyped no matter what. It's one of these links, dude. Volkanov versus motherfucking Alistair Overeem. And that's just team elevation hype, so let's go. McGregor's not the king of the world anymore. I would say Poirier is. In my world, though, I don't think he's getting He's getting a lot of traction, but I'm kind of just feel like McGregor. Let's get the DS3 next January, and I'll watch it still. Just make sure the rest of the card's good like this one was, you know. But we're back. I'm going to get on this. I'm going to start recording every week again. I mean, I set it up for a good fight night too. Let's see what happens with it. Let's see what goes on. I know there's a bunch of really good fights they announced recently and their locations that we can get into as well. And then you have crazy things like what happened with that whole division as far as the Mcgregor rise, the Mcgregor fall, Khabib continuing his rise, beat the 1-2, all that I said was put in this great movie that I just watched the other day. It was one of those YouTube movies where they had to, it was just so dope, even though, like I'm saying it was this cool, and it was these kind of movies where they had to like zoom in a little bit so it got rid of the UFC logo, had to blur, I only saw blur once, blurred one of the advertisements on the octagon on one of the corners. Great movie though, but it just told that whole division. It told the story since like 2017 to 2020, and it just kind of ends with Khabib being the king, and I don't even know if it involves anything that happened last weekend. I think it just, the Poirier stuff didn't happen, because it's like 2 weeks old and I just went into it. But it's good enough to where that division's got so much hype that, write me a story. If you want to, you can film a movie. Don't get me wrong, the production was great as far as the music behind it. They had a bunch of Biggie, they had a bunch of old 90s hip hop and stuff like that, playing over like the dope fight scenes and stuff. Let me link in bio. I think it was tko'd. It was like a different language was the title of it, but it was all in English. And so they obviously had rights to hip hop and pop. They just didn't have rights to certain things. And it had like 8 million views. It was an hour and a half long movie. And I'm telling you, if you're interested at all in the 155-pound division, between Khabib proving that he's the best of the best in that short period of time, and the Mcgregor saga, and the characters in the division, check it out. But yeah, we're calling it. We got plenty to talk about in the future. Don't forget Instagram, Bruce Banners Armbar. I gotta start posting on there more. If I'm gonna be about it, I gotta be about it from everywhere. Keep your eye out on Urban Prophet Society. I know they're trying to put out some stuff right now. I'm probably gonna put some music on it behind here. Quintet Khabib. He's always got dope tunes. He just dropped a new album. We're gonna throw some of that on some, probably just some, I don't know, figure out something to do with it. But yeah, check me out on everything. Hopefully you bought that last card, and let's check this next one out and see what's going on. Take it easy.